Yeah, the boys are eating today. What are you eating, Danny?
I'm eating a bowl of Greek yogurt, raspberries, blueberries, chia seeds, and flax seeds.
Oh, I read.
Oh, it sounds
that
so good.
Greek yogurt's good for your digestive tract. So I'm trying to have
Good
less.
for lots and lots of things.
Yeah.
Yes, good for lots of it. But don't ruin it by talking about my digestive tract.
Well, I need to get mine in line at work. I run to the bathroom too much, and I'm in Amazon. I'm not supposed to.
Okay, now don't ruin it by talking about your digestive tract.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to go to the bathroom at work.
Not every 30 minutes.
Every 30 minutes. You okay?
When I have my messed up digestive tract.
What do you do that requires 30 minutes?
Every 30 minutes.
What do you do?
I don't want to get into it. You guys are eating.
I don't care.
What are you eating, Jammer?
I'm just eating a PB&J.
That's good. The audience knows. So this is the show.
Is that
Oh, is
peanut
this a
butter
show?
and jam?
Yes, it
Peanut
is.
butter and jam. Peanut butter and jammer.
Oh,
Jammer's eating himself.
God
It's a
damn it.
Jammer. He invented the sandwich. Well, not the sandwich, that sandwich.
These sandwiches, that sandwich. Actually, before we start, I realized, apologies. I've been so busy today, especially since we're going out and we had to do a bunch of shit. What are the trailers that we need to watch again?
Well, The Boys presents Diabolical.
Okay.
Which Danny just watched. The Lord of the Rings.
Okay, saw that. Yeah.
And I think just Moon Knight, which I assume you definitely saw also. I think that's all.
So I just need to watch The Boys Diabolical, which in
It's
all
about 1
honesty,
minute long.
It's a few seconds long. He just watched it.
I never got into The
I
Boys.
watched it.
I hate to say it.
I watched it when Nick went to the bathroom with his digestive tract problem.
All right, well, let me watch it right now. Then we can start.
It's like 14 seconds. No, it's more than that, but it's short.
I've finished eating now, and I do feel like my digestive tract is so much better.
If you were Nick, you'd be taking a break mid-podcast to go to the bathroom.
would.
Sometimes I feel like it.
What the
That's
fuck
the plot
is this
right there.
trailer?
It's towards the top of our list.
Is it?
It's like 4 articles down. You can watch it right in the window.
I don't see it anywhere, dude. I see it nowhere.
It's under the
On the
article
right?
about King of the Hill.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong thing.
The wrong dates, the entirely
Mhm.
wrong set of news that you guys already did last week.
Yep. I was like, this looks nothing like what I remembered it being.
You have no memory of talking about any of those things last week.
I have no memory of this place. All right, here we go.
Mm-mm. Should we include this in the podcast? Do you think this definitely silences?
Business
down
now.
to what- Well, it's like a trailer reaction. You're just eating a sandwich, and Nick and I are
Mhm.
watching you eat a sandwich.
It's, very attractive.
It's compelling television. It's just awful podcast, I'm sure.
I'm not even sure it's compelling television. What are you talking about?
Oh, come on. I've been made to watch some shit. We've watched some shit. This would be better than some of that shit.
What are you talking? Word choice.
What shit?
Phrasing, Lana. Well, are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Who's that from?
Archer.
Oh,
After he comes out of his,
fucking
well,
love
they always
that
do
show.
phrasing jokes.
Oh, I
Then
love
after,
that show.
after he comes out of his coma, he's like, "What? We're not doing phrasing anymore."
I don't like Archer.
Of course you did.
Oh, man. What's wrong with you?
It's American animation. I'm just kidding.
I mean, I don't like American adult animation generally. Like the comedies, they just
I don't like the Fox ones. Like when people like we were talking about Bob's Burgers and stuff on Twitter.
well, I don't consider Bob's Burgers adult animation. I consider it family animation.
Really?
Yeah.
The Sunday Fox animation, whatever the fuck they used to call it.
Well, I don't know, but
Animation
I consider it like PG-13 status, where it's like, it's a little bit. I wouldn't say raunchier, but it's a little bit more, aged up a little bit, but it's still good for the family. That's how I think of Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, I would agree. I've only seen a few episodes. I did enjoy them. It's just not something I've got too heavily into, but I would definitely say it's a PG-13 kind of thing. There's a few jokes in there that might go over some of the younger kids' heads anyway. So it's
not entirely
I
like
was
awful.
counting
Like
PG-13, like Simpsons, Family Guy.
Family
Obviously,
Guy, I think is high.
Family Guy?
Family Guy
Yeah, that's
is
fine.
adult animation.
Yeah.
I consider Simpsons,
Well, Simpsons, I wasn't even allowed to watch
especially
until I was
like
13.
especially pre-season 10. I would consider that more like Bob's Burgers.
There wasn't even a season 10 when my mom wouldn't let me watch it until I was 13.
Yeah.
I guess
But
my
I would
mom
still
wouldn't let me
consider
watch
it
Power
family.
Rangers because it was too violent.
Okay. Well, then you're just
She saved me from that. horrific
saved you from Power
phrase.
Rangers. How dare
Yeah.
you? Power
Anyway,
Rangers
are you
was-
guys ready to get started? Even though I'm sure
Yes, do
part of
this.
this will be in there. 'Cause we're...
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, the premier flagship and international podcast of LRMonline.com and the Genreverse podcast network. I'm Nick, your host this week because Jonesy is out. And again, we're doing a little threesome this week. We just switched out one for the other. So we got Danny here. How are you doing, Danny?
I'm not there. I'm here. You're there. But I'm good wherever I am.
Well, we're in everyone's ear holes right now. How about you, Jammer?
Everyone's got holes.
I'm here.
Jammer forgot.
I'm here and I'm existing.
I think someone is in Jammer's ear hole.
Always.
Or with a noise like that, it could have been another hole.
Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. We have lots of good things to talk about.
Let's start with Joss Whedon's.
No. Before we get to let's give a taste for what's happening. Of course, we have the standard news, but after the news, we also will be talking about two shows, basically sort of like the part way halfway through the season point for two really big series that are running. One is I was about to say The Mandalorian. That's not right. One is the Book of Boba Fett, and one is Peacemaker. So we'll be talking about the first 4 episodes of each.
Probably the 2 most streamed shows these last 4 weeks, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think so. Based on I think
what I read everywhere.
Well, yeah, actually, I'm not sure there are any stats out as to whether or not what the most streamed are currently. I don't know. I hear a lot of. We'll talk about that when the time comes. I was about to dive into things I'm hearing about. Okay, Star Wars fans are never happy, but they don't seem especially happy with the Book of Boba Fett currently.
We're surprised. A lot of people we'll get to that.
Yeah,
a little surprised. Not okay. Anyway.
I'm not surprised. I'm never surprised to hear Star Wars fans bitching. Never surprised.
Yeah, I'm with Jammer on that.
I just thought that we're already getting into it,
but never surprised.
We're already getting into it a little bit. I'm just surprised because of the Boba Fett show, but maybe that's why it's the problem is that people are like, "This isn't."
Do you guys want to have a sandwich like a freaking? We could have like the Book of Boba Fett discussion, then the news, and then Peacemaker. So it's like a review sandwich.
Not really, because I don't like putting spoilers in the first half of the show. Because my friends.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
If you say the spoilers for the end, you can just turn off rather than have to jump ahead or figure out where we stop without hearing something.
All right. You got a point.
Back to assholes. Joss Whedon criticizes Justice League cast and reshoot behavior.
Yeah, so for those who don't know and haven't been following this whole controversy, it's been a whole controversy. You know, you've had Ray Fisher for years now calling out Joss Whedon for his inexcusable behavior. There's been talk about his abusive on-set behavior. Ray Fisher felt like he was being, racist, doing things like lightening his skin tone to make it I guess, quote unquote, I don't even know, not even quote unquote, but I guess to make it lighter, which is really weird. But apparently in I hate to say this, in Whedon's defense on that one, he did brighten the entire movie. That's so maybe that had to do with it. So probably that has not as much foundation of, but there clearly is a lot of foundation in terms of his abusive behavior, his old school Hollywood mentality of what will and won't sell. And just his overall, he's almost like a stereotypical Hollywood dick who you would just kind of think of in the most cliche way,
Sure.
And so there have been lots of bad things said about him, and he, after all this time, has finally broken his silence. And let's see here, he said a lot of things, a lot of different things. And let's see here, there's one thing he said that really kind of irked me here. Hang on. Do you have the words in front of you?
I have the article up, but I never was able to access the Vulture article.
Regarding the cutting down of Cyborg, that was sort of the big thing, because Cyborg was obviously a character that was given a short shrift in the original Justice League. And as we've now seen in Zack Snyder's Justice League, he had a whole lot to work with. He had a full arc and all that. But and Ray Fisher was kind of the opinion that it had to do with Whedon not necessarily thinking having a black man at the forefront or as central to story would be good for that audiences would want to see it. Whedon is now saying, based on the Vulture article, he says this: the storyline, quote unquote, logically made no sense, end quote, and he felt the acting was bad. According to a source familiar with the project, Whedon wasn't alone in feeling that way. At test screenings, Viewers deem Cyborg, quote unquote, the worst of all the characters in the film, close quote. Despite that, Whedon insists he spent hours discussing the changes with Fisher and that their conversations were friendly and respectful. None of the claims Fisher made in the media were, quote unquote, either true or merited discussing. Whedon told the writer of this article, he could think of only one way to explain Fisher's motives. And here's the quote. We're talking about a malevolent force. We're talking about a bad actor in both senses. So let's start with that section of the article there. Nick, what are your thoughts on Whedon's comments regarding, I guess, the test screenings, as well as, I guess, his slamming him as both a bad actor and basically a bad person?
I don't agree with the acting. I obviously don't know Ray Fisher, and everything we've heard, it sounds like Joss Whedon is the bad person, not him. And especially since originally I was like, I want to hear from some other people in other productions, because like you never heard the Avengers actors complaining, but then some Buffy actresses did complain. So you're like, there's definitely some truth to this. I am not surprised that test screenings audience didn't like the black character as much, because people are stupid and terrible.
Oh my God, that doesn't surprise you at all? Do you think it had to do with the black character,
America,
or if maybe people didn't like other things about it? Like maybe they just didn't, something about it they didn't like, maybe they didn't verbalize it properly, and maybe they just took the wrong lesson as a result, or like it could have been a myriad of things. Nick, I don't think it had to do with people being racist. I'm not gonna lie. Really? I guess it could be a factor, but I don't think that was a fact. Obviously, I don't know.
Well, and we don't know.
That's a large assumption to make.
Obviously, they never saw Snyder's cut. They saw whatever original cut Whedon had. So maybe he had more of the story. Maybe he had more of the story in there, not all of it, but that made no sense because he dropped other parts out.
That's true. So maybe it was like a 2.5 to 3 hours.
Even in the final movie, it's almost like, why is he even here? I mean, he's a Justice League member, but he has nothing to do until the end of the movie. And
to be clear, you're talking about Whedon's cut, correct?
Yes. Snyder's cut, he's very good, very fleshed out character. I would agree is probably one of the heart of the movie, not just a character who says booyah and plays with cubes. So, and I think I agree about the lightning part. Color correction, everything just looks brighter. Lightning is
the lighting.
I think it's because everything.
Lightening.
Yeah, lightening.
Okay.
Lightning. Danny.
What about you, Danny?
I think I'm with Nick on this one. I think the changing of the color palette was a thing throughout the film. I don't think that's anything to go by. But I'm also I'd have to side with Jammer on the viewpoint of why the test screening failed. If it was a Whedon cut or some version of the Whedon cut, it would have failed, because even in the final cut, I felt that the Cyborg character was underutilized and was pretty. You could argue that we could have taken him out completely and not really made much of an impact in the film. So there's certainly something that's gone on there. The bad acting bit, I didn't get any impression on that, because when we saw the Snyder Cut version, which is obviously more of that character and more of Ray Fisher's work, I didn't see any reason to think that the acting was bad. So there's clearly more to it. I'm definitely not surprised, though, that Joss Whedon's come out with a completely polar opposite point of view to Ray Fisher. That was obvious, right? I think we still need some other third party, other people directly involved, but maybe not at the forefront of things. The people that worked on set, other smaller character roles, smaller actor roles, etc., to give their kind of view on it. But I don't think we'll ever hear from those, because they still want to keep their jobs and stuff, right? It's maybe just something that they're just keep their mouth shut, whether that's right or wrong.
They'll let the Giants battle it out above them, and then just
And what's Ray Fisher doing? Authenticity above entertainment. Is that what it is?
Accountability is greater than entertainment.
Sorry, accountability above entertainment. That's a great statement for him, and he's very brave in doing it. But there's a lot of people out there that maybe still want to keep working in that part of the industry. So anyway, I guess my point is I'd like to hear from other people before I fully review, but no surprise.
Yeah, no one else is
different point of view.
No one else is really speaking out as much as Ray Fisher. I'm really surprised. It's like, come on.
Gal Gadot actually said a few things, didn't she?
A few things. No one is being
vocal.
as vocal as him.
True. No, very true.
And I was also going to say, I bet from Joss Whedon's perspective, it was a very amicable conversation they had because he's the one with all the power, and Ray Fisher has to act polite because he's like, oh, I still cut my part even more, or I'll never work in this town again. Like, who knows? So
I can imagine him walking away from the conversation. It's like, okay, so we both agree that we're cutting him down. Okay. And he walks away, and Fisher's like,
what just happened?
Were there more parts to the quote? Oh,
there are others, but I want to keep talking about this one. I think regarding audiences, part of me wonders if it just had to do with audience expectations. Like maybe they wanted something a little more lighthearted, and he's kind of Cyborg is kind of a downer. There's like a lot of undercurrent acting there, a lot of stuff under the surface. Maybe there's just more. I hate saying this because it sounds douchey. Maybe there's just like a certain amount of extra nuance that they just didn't want to see from the movie, and therefore didn't like it as a result.
I can see it wasn't maybe broad enough. Character.
Yeah,
the audience is not responding to that.
People being like, I want to watch Justice. I don't want to watch the big super serious, but
then everyone preferred the super serious version when it finally came out.
Because it's like objectively a better movie. Like it just is.
Yeah,
it's just. I don't know, but like you said, it could have been another cut that was 2.5 hours long instead, or 3 hours long, and still like didn't have all of the aspects. Like I'm thinking about like Batman v Superman, how much of a difference that 30 minutes made between the 2.5 hour cut and the 3 hour cut. And it was a matter of like, the shortcut, it just doesn't make any sense. The third 3 hour one, it doesn't feel longer, and it doesn't seem like there's like a whole lot of added scenes, but it's just like a lot of little things that really add up and make just, now it's logical. I can imagine burning that being a problem.
It's the first thing that comes to mind, where it's like, why would they think it's Superman when everyone's shot to hell? It's like, they burned the bodies to make it look like it was laser, and probably removed any bullets that were there. Unless bullets melt at a lower temperature than I think.
Do they?
I don't know. I just remember I just watched Dexter, and apparently titanium doesn't melt the same.
I think you should get your information outside of Dexter. Just throwing that out there as a possibility.
Hey, people who make good TV shows usually do good research. I think this doesn't know a lot about meth.
That's not. There's so many things that they do. I'm not gonna. That is just a fallacy. People who do good TV shows generally do a lot of good research. No, maybe they do, but they'll often just say like, yes, it's this, but it's more dramatically fun if this happened.
Like if we put a mall with palm trees in Colorado and Michigan.
God damn it! God damn it! Anyway. I love how much that bothered you. For those who don't know, go back and find that Mitchell's versus Machine episode to hear Nick irrationally just rail on the movie because there are fucking palm trees in a Colorado mall or around a Colorado mall.
And that was like one line of dialogue.
That was
not Colorado.
That was one of the pivotal arguments as to why the movie wasn't as good as he wanted it to be, because of all of there's like, why couldn't you just look at the Google? But clearly it was intentional. You have people who live in freaking LA. I guess, people aren't stupid. Come on, Nick.
Come on.
What else here? Regarding, let's see here, who's Carpenter? Oh, this is what's her Charisma Carpenter talking about. So that she's one of the actresses from Buffy.
Yeah.
He talked about her a bit. So Whedon's advocates believe his campaign had poisoned Carpenter. His campaign, by his campaign, he means Fisher's campaign against him. Poisoned Carpenter against him, causing her to see the complicated story of their relationship as a simplistic narrative of abuse. Quote, once someone lights a fuse and people see there's a flame, they run to it and throw stuff into it. One person in Whedon's circle said. That wasn't Whedon. And then Whedon said, I don't know who started it. I just know whose name it was done. What does that mean? I just know in whose name it was done. That's it. They don't give a fuck about feminism. I was made a target by my ex-wife, and people exploited that cynically. She put out a letter saying some bad things I'd done, saying some untrue things about me, but I had done the bad things, and so people knew I was gettable. I will say in his defense, as much as I hate defending that clearly an asshole person, I don't like this idea where people were saying, oh, you're not feminist, you cheated on your wife. I'm sorry, you could still be a feminist and still be, a cheater. Those aren't mutually exclusive things.
And if you look at his work, I mean, he has super strong female characters in most of them.
Yeah, but
everything. He even made Black Widow interesting.
having super strong characters doesn't mean doesn't make you a feminist. It just means that you write female characters. I mean, there are also certain things in that movie that displayed sort of a male gaze aspect, like all those lingering ass shots on Black Widow.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking back farther to Buffy, where it's like when Kyle's trying to list, like, well, we already have badass female characters. And it's like Sigourney Weaver, Buffy, like, I mean, Ridley, Buffy.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, yeah, they're interesting characters, but at the end of the day, they just still feel like they're written by Joss Whedon. They sound like they're written by a guy, which is fine. But I'm not sure I would look to that as like, oh, he's feminist because of this. But at the same time, I don't want to discount his, feminist ideals because he was just somebody who cheated on his wife. Obviously, to me, an abhorrent thing, but doesn't make you not a feminist. It just makes you, I don't know.
I think it shows you like women more because you like two women.
No, stop it. Stop.
He likes them so much, you can't get enough.
Any other quotes that you had or thoughts that you remember from the article, Nick, that you wanted to touch on?
No, because I only got like the Screen Rant one or whatever this is from, because I can't access the Vulture one. Apparently I've used up all my New York, whatever they're now under.
Vulture.
Yeah. I mean, I used to be able to access Vulture for free, but now they put it behind a paywall. Because I used to read Vulture all the time. Like they're my main site because they're snarky.
You just need to get three browsers, dude. Use one.
Use a different browser, same IP
if
address,
you want to,
and it'll work.
I think so. Or if you use incognito mode, that maybe can work. I'm just talking on my ass. I'm just problem solving. I'm like troubleshooting on the spot. So forgive me if it's incorrect, but there's a different browser, maybe incognito mode. Probably not. That probably won't work, but at least maybe a different browser. But maybe you're right. Maybe it is an IP address.
There is no quote about it here, but wasn't Gal Gadot one of the people who said not as much as Ray Fisher, or maybe he said some things about her character? Because I buy the argument, that part, if Joss Whedon said she's a bad actor. I think she's a terrible actor. She's a model who became an actor who isn't good at acting. I don't know. I never find her compelling in anything just because. So
regarding that, let's dig into that part of the article. Gadot didn't care for Whedon's style either. Last year, she told reporters Whedon, quote, threatened her and said he would, quote, make her career miserable. Whedon told me he did no such thing. I don't threaten people. Who does that? He concluded. She had misunderstood him. English is not her first language, and I tend to be annoyingly flowery in my speech, he recalled, arguing over scenes she wanted to cut. He told her jokingly that if she wanted to get rid of it, she would have to tie him to a railroad track and do it over his dead body. And here's a quote from him. Then I was told that I had said something about her dead body and tying her to the railroad track. Gal Gadot did not agree with the version of events. I understood perfectly, she told New York in an email. As for Whedon's claim he doesn't threaten people, an actress on Angel told me, the article writer, that hadn't been true back when she knew him. After her agent pushed for her to get a raise, she claims Whedon called her at home and said she was never going to work for him again or 20th Century Fox. Reading Gadot's quote, she thought, wow, he's still using that line. Whedon also denied this.
Yeah, I'm sure that Whedon's the bad guy in that too. I was just saying that if he had said the same thing he said about Ray Fisher, I think Ray Fisher was a fantastic actor. I do not think if he said she was a bad actress, which is why he cut part of her stuff, I'd be like, yeah, I think she is a bad actress. But he didn't say that, and that wasn't their conflict.
Yeah, it seems to me like part of me wonders and doubts his version of the events regarding like, oh, she didn't understand me because English isn't her first language.
Yeah, I doubt
that seems that seems pretty condescending, and it's like seemed like an out. He's like, oh, well, clearly she misunderstood me because she didn't speak English. That's a perfect out for me. Obviously, I am assuming a lot there.
Yeah.
But based on how he's speaking and based on the fact that, you have two people now saying that he threatened him.
Yeah.
Or he is threatening
the Angel
towards
actor
careers.
Coming out and saying it makes me definitely believe it.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, like he doesn't seem like a good guy no matter what way you slice it. I definitely probably would not want to work with him. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like a good deal. I think Warner Brothers should have been more thorough and they should have acted more on this. And it's really a shame that they didn't, that they didn't sort of nip this in the bud and they didn't try to fix things. It seems like they kind of just let it go, just to keep the relationships flowing. And it's just disappointing. Any other comments?
I've
Nope.
said my piece. Danny?
All right.
All
Let's
right.
move
Let me
on.
transition to the next story. I was going to transition from a-hole to a-hole, but I decided instead to go from Batman to Batman. New Batman movie runtime is 2 hours and 55 minutes. And this person wrote
It's
the
actually,
longest
to
Batman
be
movie
clear,
yet.
2 hours and I think 47 or 48 minutes without credits.
Okay. Oh, but like they always count the runtime with credits.
No,
right?
I know that, but I'm just saying, giving you an
Like-
update that they updated with saying like it's this long without credits.
Okay. Because they still call, Endgame is still 3 hours, but only with the credits. And there's no post-credit scene. But this person's kind of wrong because I read the same. They say it's the longest Batman movie yet, and someone else is like, no, it's the longest solo Batman movie yet. Because obviously we got a 4-hour cut of a film with Batman.
And we got a 3-hour Batman v Superman too.
That's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish it was short. Hopefully the movie's great, but I do wish it was shorter because I generally don't like walking into 3-hour movies.
I don't mind. It depends on the movie, and I think it has to do more with each. Like I don't like necessarily saying should the movie be this long. It's like, well, I haven't seen it. I'll let you know after if it should be 3 hours long. Obviously, like Endgame, I thought it was the perfect length. Batman v Superman, I thought should have been longer than 2.5 hours.
Bond
Snyder
worked
cut
really well.
probably
approaching 3 hours. Bond. This is one of my favorite Bonds. It's just here's why it bothers me. Just going to a movie theater, having like a beer or a soda, and having to sit through 3 hours without a bathroom break. That's why I could never watch Justice League cut in theaters. The Snyder cut.
I used to sit. I used to, sit in theaters when I was younger, and I used to be like, see people walk out of the theater to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, the fuck are you doing? How can you do that? Like, how can you just leave in the middle of a movie and just like walk back and just like hope you didn't miss anything important? Like, how could you do that? I do that all the time now because I'm like, I'm an adult. I shouldn't have to hold it. Fuck it. I'm going. And then I go and I come back and I just like, what happened?
I had to do it during Bond. I didn't know how
Bond
got out of a certain situation until I watched it on Blu-ray.
I did it during The Kingsman. I did it during No Way Home. I'm like, I don't care anymore. Like, yeah, I care. Like, I'll watch it again and I'll see the part that I missed. And it's unfortunate, but I'm like, I'm not having a beer because I could have a beer. Fuck yeah. I'm going to go have a beer. I'm going to enjoy myself. I'll miss 2.5 minutes and hope it's nothing important. And if it is, then I'll just be sad, but I'll watch it again and go to the bathroom at a different part of the movie.
Did I tell you guys, I can't remember which part of Europe it was. I think it was one of the Scandinavian countries, that in the bathrooms in the individual cinemas, they show the movie in the bathrooms, in the stalls at the same time, so you don't miss anything. So
only in the hallway.
No, in the screen, each screen has a separate bathroom, and in the bathroom, whether it's the sit down or stand up version of the bathroom, there's a screen in front of you, so you miss less of the film. You literally miss how long it is for you to disappear. It's a great idea, right? It's obviously only a TV size screen like the ones we're all using right now, but it means you miss just that little bit when you have to kind of turn the corner out of the big screen, and then you run to the bathroom. But as soon as you get into the bathroom, you see it. So
I love that.
That was a great
That's
idea.
great.
So yeah, you don't
because
I know minimal amount of the film.
All the times where I'm like literally just trying to push out the urine, where I'm just like, go faster, go faster, and you can't. And it's just not going fast enough. I just like all the times where I'm like, I wish I could just like cut open my bladder and just like let it plop out and then run off. Be able to.
Do you find it's even more frustrating when you think you've left at the best time, and no sooner have you walked out that you hear something going on, some sort of big giant action piece going on. Oh fuck! I'm committed. Do I go running back in and then run back out again, or do I just go to the toilet and run? I normally just go committed. I've left now. I'm going to go to the bathroom and go back and then ask what I've missed. But I'm so tempted sometimes to quickly run back in. What am I missing?
In most movies, I usually go during the action scene if I have to, because all the important dialogue, like the plot is actually more important, unless like a really well-made action scene furthers the plot. But I would like Rise of Skywalker. I'd rather miss an action scene because it's not furthering.
I'd rather miss the whole movie.
Well, yeah, but you want, yeah. But
in Rise of Skywalker, you didn't want to go to the bathroom in case you missed something good. Full stop. Maybe the scene that you like.
But I remember I learned my lesson when The Lord of the Rings came out.
Which one?
The Fellowship. Or I'd like finished a large Coke. We were in like a third way of the way through the movie. So I was so upset, and it was like at the scene where they get rescued by the elves, like on their horses and stuff. And I literally at that age considered wedding myself rather than missing the movie. And then I was like, that's stupid.
Oh, I've considered it
After
too.
the first film, you just go to the bathroom when you see that it goes into a large swooping aerial shot of them walking somewhere. Then you know you've got at least 2
enough
minutes
time
before anything
Well,
happens.
now we know in retrospect, 20 years later.
No, I mean
that's
after
what
Fellowship, we knew that was going to happen in the Two Towers and Return of the King. But yeah, like you say, in retrospect, we didn't know that. But after Fellowship, I'm right. As soon as it goes to aerial shots, go. You've got at least 45, maybe a minute before anything happens, other than them walking across landscapes.
And that was
which are draws.
Segue.
Those are draws for me. Like that's why I want to see. I'm like, I want to just sink. I just want to just sink myself into the New Zealand landscape and just pretend I'm there. But as far as the Batman, actually, the topic that we're talking about.
Oh yeah, we're talking about Batman.
I think it's kind of exciting because I think it seems like it adds a lot of potential for storytelling. We already know there's 3 major characters outside of Batman. You have the Riddler, you have Penguin, and you have Catwoman. Those are the main ones. Those are the only
Colin
ones we know
Farrell
about
said he's
point.
barely in the movie, I thought.
Okay, well, regardless, my point is you have those are like the main ones that we know about. Yeah. And was it this one where we knew that there's like probably going to be other characters as well that are unconfirmed but have been rumored? Or was that a previous iteration with that like Ben Affleck when he was directing?
Know. Early on, I think it was the Ben Affleck version. They were comparing it to Hush, and that would have like a lot of villains.
Okay, so I don't know if that's this version, but
I think that was definitely his version because he's also a more established Batman who has a bigger rogues gallery already.
Okay, but it seems to me that based on that, like this really gives an opportunity to really flesh out the world and flesh out like either the characters or like the rogues gallery in some capacity, so that it kind of comes together in more of an, dare I say, epic fashion, for better or for worse.
I'm confident based on what I've seen so far. I really haven't seen that much Matt Reeves film, like movies. Like I never saw Cloverfield because I hate shaky cam. I think I only watched the middle. He didn't do the first Planet of the Apes, and I only watched the middle one, which is
the middle one's the best one. The third one, in all honesty, was kind of disappointing.
Me and my roommate agreed we liked the first one better than the middle one.
What? No.
I just barely remember the
first one was good.
The first one was fine, but Dawn
was original, but
Dawn was next level for me. Dawn was so good. And War was it was fine. It was honestly, like I said, disappointing for me.
Cool. I have a good segue, sort of. You guys spoiled it a bit. Back to me peeing my pants in Lord of the Rings, or considering it. We got a trailer for The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, coming out September 2nd, like a super teasery trailer that apparently was done practically for no reason that I can possibly think of. I would think that would actually be more expensive. They were like running hot metal and stuff around like this little. Anyway, it's a bunch of like it's not Cate Blanchett, but it's someone reading the 9 rings for the mortals, or that were men, and like 3 for the elves, and then it just kind of shows almost stuff that looks like it's New Zealand, and then it's the rings or a ring being forged, and then it's the logo. But we never had a title. Cam is thankful he has a real title to write instead of Lord of the Rings Amazon. So what do you guys think? Are you guys kind of excited in general now that we have a release date? I'm a little more interested in Lord of the Rings again, even though I've really haven't been a fan of fantasy lately.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I like this franchise. I like obviously the movies. There's a lot of potential there. But I guess there's a lot of potential to screw it up. I think people a lot of times are too negative. They're just like, oh, like I saw people going like the CG in this teaser, this is not very good. I'm like, it's a fucking title. It's a title. Like, get over it. It's fine.
Yeah, I saw that complaint
like
too.
you can't really like judge anything off of it other than like, ooh, okay, that's a title. It has sort of like a tone-ish, but we don't even know if that's reflective of the show. Admittedly, the only thing that really distracted me was that voice, and I don't recall, is that supposed to be Galadriel?
Probably. Well, I mean,
it was just distractingly not Cate Blanchett, and even if it's not Galadriel, it's still sort of like, well, she's got that voice. It's hard to top that voice.
Yeah.
It's like watching What If and hearing like the voice actors trying to ape the actual actor's voice, and it's just like, I'm not saying she's trying to and she shouldn't, but it's just you're expecting to hear Galadriel, and it's not.
Kate
But the
Blanchett,
performance
check.
itself was fine. The lines themselves were fine. The title's okay. I don't like super long titles. Like we were just talking about Planet of the Apes, like War for the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, The Lord of the Rings, The Ring of Power. It's too much. But considering the first book was called The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, it's very in keeping with the franchise. So yeah, I'm excited.
Danny?
Yeah, I've been excited since it was all announced, but obviously I was a little bit. Well, let's wait and see. Show me a trailer. Show me what the whole aesthetic's going to look like. But this trailer, I mean, a full trailer, not this teaser of just the name release. This did nothing for me either way or the other. It reminded me that this thing was happening and it's coming out soon. That's pretty much all it did for me. But I have been excited about the project since it was announced. But this didn't make it any better or worse. I can't believe people complaining about the CG and then to find out that it wasn't CG at all. It's like, what now? Now it's really good CG because it looks better than real life, or what? What the fuck? But like Jammer says, really, it's not even a trailer. It's a name reveal. It's a
And the release date reveal.
It's not even a teaser. It's like, yeah,
it's not anything.
Exactly.
There's a name. Wow.
I probably shouldn't say this based on where I work, but just don't tell him. There's an image of like a kind of a mountain, like a physical like mountain, but like 4 feet tall. And Bezos is like, doing his arms over it, like he's so proud of it. And someone's like, "There's our new golem."
Yeah, I saw that.
But that's what somebody else said, Nick, right? Not what you said.
I am
another person. This is
not creating
representative of the views of either the site or yourself.
That reminds me of it was either him or Musk. I think it was Bezos actually, where someone was talking about how like greedy he was. He doesn't pay taxes and do this or whatever. And he's just like, I don't take a salary from Amazon. And then they had a picture of Smaug sitting on his gold being like, I don't take a salary.
I've just got this pile of gold.
Well, technically, that's how they get so wealthy and how they're taxed less is because they put all their money into stocks.
And they don't take a salary.
Yeah.
So they don't get taxed. They don't get taxable income. They probably
most
find
of the shares
ways
in Amazon.
outside. They find ways around it through some sort of tax loopholes and get most of their income through dividends or whatever. And maybe they don't even cash them out. They just have a lot of value in their investments that account for their wealth.
All right.
But I'm not a rich person. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So don't listen to me. I'm sure I said something wrong there.
From conspiracy something. Let's go from trailer to trailer. We got our first official trailer for Moon Knight this week.
Oh, I like this. This one.
Let's let you start.
So before we talk about the good things, I just want to say this. What is up with Marvel and their accents? Why did they decide Doctor Strange needed an American accent? And why did they decide Mark Spector or whoever this guy is needs to have a British accent? It's distracting.
I found it adorable, but Doctor Strange just never works. It sounds British all the time, but
he sounds like freaking Alan Rickman in Die Hard.
It's actually
that's what it reminds me of.
He is.
Oh no!
Doctor Strange is an Englishman that studied medicine in the US, or he was an American that studied medicine in the UK. So he's picked up a bit of an accent either way. So therefore, just fucking move on.
I think they should just kept the British accent and use
your natural. But to be fair, like I didn't realize this. Like the accent that we hear from Benedict Cumberbatch usually isn't his actual accent. He has another more specific regional accent that I forget. But I'm like, oh. I didn't realize
like
that.
Even Sherlock sounds slightly different.
The Sherlock accent, is that what you mean?
Yeah, the Sherlock accent is his posh. His Sherlock accent is not his real accent. I did not realize that until recently.
Yeah.
So,
what did you guys think of Dr. House? What did you guys think of Hugh Laurie's accent in House MD? Was that a good American accent?
I haven't seen a lot of the show, but I never even knew he was British at that point until I
haven't
later.
either.
Generally speaking, we don't think it's a very good one because he's very English. Bit like Cumberbund Bandersnatch. He's got a very English accent. and so when in House MD, which I love, by the way, I think the show is fucking brilliant. But his accent is a bit, well, you are clearly not American, but I don't know what Americans.
It's funny because actually, before I knew he was British, I don't think his accent ever took me out of it.
Yeah, I would agree.
I've saw a few episodes of House. As far as you guys are concerned, it was pretty good, was it?
Yeah,
I didn't notice it.
It's very similar to the Benedict Cumberbatch accent. It sounds like they're both based on Harrison Ford, which Benedict Cumberbatch has said is based on Harrison Ford.
He says
House
that,
is like
that's like
very like.
Yeah, he says that, but I could say my accents are based on things. That doesn't mean they sound like it.
No, but that was his. Yeah, I'm not saying it sounds like it, but that's what he says. He just goes more gruff. I think is the only part that was inspired by Harrison Ford. Anyway,
so what are we talking about? Moon Knight.
Moon Knight trailer.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was before I let Danny go on how much he liked it. I was just thinking about the accent and maybe the different identities have different accents. So they made one of them British, and a different one will sound completely different. That's just the theory. But Danny, what'd you think of the trailer?
Well, the reason why I liked it so much is because it's a wonderful, different feeling from the other Marvel shows. This is a Marvel show now that's got a real sort of, dare I say it, for using generic terms, but an adult feel to it. The themes that it's touching on already with him having the sleep disorders and the multiple personalities and all that kind of stuff. It really gave it a real psychological horror kind of real adult theme to a Marvel property, which I don't really think we've seen yet. I know we've got Blade coming, and we don't really know what kind of theme that's going to play through. The trailer itself was great. I like the fact that it introduced what was going on to a very complicated character, and I'm not that familiar with Moon Knight as a character anyway, so this was quite helpful. My nephews, which is always a good gauge for things that they don't know about, they really liked it. They're now interested to find out more about Moon Knight. So they weren't put off by it. They were equally as enamored by it, but for different things. But I really enjoyed it. I like the aspects of it, and I like that it looks like a fresh, something new from Marvel. Now, whether it's a hit or miss, I'll need to see more, obviously. But right now, I really am looking forward to seeing more and to see how it goes and what they're taking with this character, including those accent changes and the personalities themselves that he can take on board. So, yeah. And I think Oscar Isaacs, it looks like he's doing a really fucking good job in this too, just based on this little trailer. It's like, holy shit, we're going to get like real recognition now for some decent. Is Scorsese going to say that this is television because there is some quality acting in front of the camera now is the question. But I was impressed.
There's always quality actors in a Marvel movie. It's just whether or not you like story is the main thing.
And I mean, Ethan Hawke looks cool in it too.
Yeah, to be fair, that's a shitty wig.
He looks creepy.
He looks weird.
yeah.
He does, but I think they'll add to the creepiness.
That wig reminds me of
I know who you're gonna say.
Who was it that Michael Rooker?
Oh no, I was gonna in Suicide Squad. I thought you were gonna say Guy Pearce in Iron Man 3.
The opening
flashback. He has like a horrible wig. Yeah.
And the buck teeth.
Yeah.
that was a choice that they went with there. I'm like, happening? I feel like that opening scene and then the Amazing Spider-Man 2, Jamie Foxx's like performance, they're like in sync.
Yeah.
It's not just the gap, but just sort of the nerdy, sort of high cartoony feel to
Tony Stark's gonna meet me up here on the roof. Yeah. Sure he is. Sure he is.
To be fair, I love that movie. Me
too.
I love that. It's
Me
so
too.
People need to get sticks out there.
Yeah, I don't know why that's ever been a problem. Anyway, sorry, digress.
Jammer trailer.
So at the end of the trailer, I verbally said, "Whoa, cool," because it was just so cool from like the logo, Marvel Studios, the stylized logo, just sort of the thriller feel to it. Where I was like, they're doing it again. They're making a feel of a series or a show that just it feels so different from everything else. And I'm intrigued. What's his name? Oscar Isaac looks like he's doing great work there. I love that reveal of the way he's punching and then like he turns to the camera. There's something really eerie and supernatural about it that is just captivating. Feels pretty bad, man. I here's the thing. I was about to say. A lot of people always said compared Moon Knight to Batman, and I'm not familiar with the character too much, so I really can't say one way or another. But then I saw at the end of this trailer, I'm like, this ain't fucking Batman. This is so different from Batman. That's how it felt to me. However, I do have a caveat. I will say I don't like Hollywood's infatuation with dissociative identity disorder. And it continues to really, obviously like Hollywood does, really hyperbolize and really just sort of heighten what it is. And I don't like that at all. I didn't like it as much with Split, as intriguing as I thought Split was. It's like contributing, kind of like Joker, contributing everything to mental illness, which I get is a cool, narrative device, but I do feel like it could be harmful in how certain things are perceived and really add an extra level of a taboo nature to certain mental disorders, and I don't like that.
Yeah, I can see that. As someone who has some mental disorders, not the same ones, Joker actually felt kind of true to me. But I think this won't be. I think this is going to be cartoony, almost in like a Deadpool way, because Deadpool talks to himself more in the comics than he does, or at least in the video game. Deadpool has 3 different voices in his head because one of them's the narrator of the game. So there is breaking news now. This wasn't the order I was going to do it.
I saw that. Wait, are we done talking about Moon Knight though? Before
I think I like the trailer a lot. I'm excited for it. I think it's a risk like Guardians, and Guardians paid off because it's the first of the shows that doesn't have an actor or actors from the movies. Like we had Hawkeye, we have Loki, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Don Cheadle, we have Wanda and Vision and Darcy, and it's like this is the first one where it's like maybe we'll get like a Daredevil cameo or something, or even Blade, because they all fit in the same this side of the universe, which is very, what was it, Marvel Knights? There was a whole comic offshoot.
It would make more sense. It would make more sense for the Black Knight to possibly be involved. Yeah, it's set in London at the moment. I don't know. It is a globe-trotting character, but at the moment it seems to be set in London, so it would make more sense.
Even Blade.
Black Knight was involved, or Blade. Yeah.
They cast Blade so.
Of that with Immortals, not Immortals. Sorry, Eternals.
Yeah, and then I think. It's like how they cast Jonathan Majors so much far in advance of Ant-Man, where you're like, oh, that's why they did it, because he shows up.
He's gonna come up somewhere soon, right?
And they've used Blade's voice, place. But I think Moon Knight could be a place where we see Moon Knight.
You mean Blade?
Yeah, Blade is where we might be on Moon Knight.
Moon Knight might be the place where we see more Moon Knight. Dude, no, don't quote me on that.
No, and as well as like, I don't know, it's also, if it's a darker, more supernatural part of the universe, but it also is kind of close to like the Echo, like street level crime. So there could be some
I do think there. From what I understand, the Egyptian nature of it does seem like it makes it, I feel like it makes it less street level and almost more mummy-ish.
That's what I would say,
in terms of like globetrotting nature.
Well. Yeah,
it feels like, obviously I don't know if they're going to be globetrotting or how often the character does, but by nature of like just sort of like the ephemeral supernatural stuff having to do with origins and ancient history, that kind of lends itself more to globetrotting and grander scale, which I don't associate with street level like Echo or what have you.
Yeah.
But really quick before we move on, I had something to say and I'm vamping because I don't remember what it was, so I'm just going to keep talking for an extra moment or two. What the hell was it? I forgot it. Whatever, it wasn't important apparently.
If you remember what it is, just break it
I remember.
Any other story. Good.
This is my I think this might be my favorite Marvel trailer in a long time. And I'm trying to think of the last one where I was just like, I'm so excited to see that, because obviously I'm always excited to see them, but very often, especially with Marvel movies, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm going to see it anyway. Whereas this one, I'm just like, I'm sold. Like this trailer, obviously I was going to see it, but this trailer absolutely sold me. And I can't remember the last time a Marvel trailer did that for me. Not even Endgame did that for me.
WandaVision's probably the last trailer that did that to me. I'm like, this is so weird. Like, what the hell is going to happen on this show? But not to the same extent as this. I would agree. So, breaking news is it came out. The show will be up today, but this came out as we were podcasting. Mission Impossible 7 and 8 have been delayed another year. They're keeping Top Gun Maverick at this summer, but they moved Mission Impossible 7 to July 14th, 2023, and Mission Impossible 8 to June 28th, 2024. So, and it is because of COVID concerns. Am I incorrect to say this is the first movie that's been pushed recently because of COVID? Because they never said why Morbius was pushed, except for the assumption they didn't want to take away from Spider-Man movie or lose money because of they didn't want to have their two franchises run into each other. Do you guys know? Have you heard of another one recently?
It's the first one where they've said that specifically, for sure. I haven't heard the others. I think we've assumed that might be the case, but that might not be correct to assume it's because of COVID. But this is certainly the first one that they've come out and said it is because of this. Yeah. Certainly in the last year, at least, I think. Anyway, since this, I mean, it's a shame. It is a shame. You and I, Nick, we're all looking forward to these films, but we're especially excited about it. I'm just glad they haven't fucking pushed Maverick again. That was getting crazy. I mean, they did say it feels like it's been 2 years, but that's going to stay this summer, right?
The article says it has not moved. So
Good.
I mean, COVID concerns, I think, is valid though. Just
yeah,
because we don't know
that's
what's going
sad.
on.
I mean, that's a sad sign. In addition to it being Mission Impossible, like I said, what other movies are going to start getting pushed again?
Tell you
other
what,
Or
Spider-Man's-
it's possible that it's to coincide with the next space flight, and they're capitalizing on Elon Musk going up in space again. Tom Cruise is hitching a ride. They're going to film some scenes up there, and the next launch wasn't till later on, and we will have Tom Cruise in space, Mission Impossible, whatever number it is. There is that, and they're using this COVID as a ruse.
Did you
think about that?
Does this segue into that story, Nick, that you had regarding Tom Cruise and some space shit? Right? You had
two stories. Let's see.
Was that were you doing that on purpose, Danny, or was it all just a happy accident, just like you?
Yeah, I was a happy accident.
Hold on, I need to click it. That's one of the only things I didn't pull up.
Of course.
Ah, that pulls
Danny,
up the picture from Oblivion.
Way to segue to the one story that Nick didn't have already right in front of him.
Well, I have another segue, but I'm going to save it because we're talking about space.
That was the segue.
Okay, this is all I can see is the fandom short version, not like the full article. SEE, the production company behind Tom Cruise's space film, plans to build a film studio in space by the end of 2024. The module is intended to host films, television, music, and sport events.
I love it so much.
There's no way that's happening though by the year 2024.
Nice ping pong.
I can't wait to see what sport they would. They should just play the Ender's Game, like early challenges, like where their two teams are after each other, and Ender learns that there is no up or down, so they can strike from like this below or. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. That's cool.
I have more to the story here. So. Space Entertainment Enterprise. That's the name. That's why it's called.
That's
that.
SIE, SII or whatever. Yeah.
SEE. Good lord. The company co-producing their next space movie with Lyman has revealed plans to launch a TV and film studio alongside a streaming content studio and sports arena in space, scheduled for late 2024. Named SEE-1, the microgravity film, TV, sport, and entertainment production and broadcast module, a world first or a universal first, would be fitted
solar system first.
Okay, solar system first. Would be fitted to galactic first, probably. Axiom, maybe we'll stick with the solar system.
That's even bigger.
Would be fitted to the Axiom station, a commercial space station. The solar system is not bigger than the galaxy, just to throw that out there, just in case, just to clarify.
Solar system is the smallest part.
Yeah, exactly. Would be fitted to the Axiom station, a commercial space station being built by Axiom Space that would attach to the current International Space Station before orbiting on its own. Plans for the module include hosting film, TV, music, and sports events, as well as artists, producers, and creatives who want to produce content in a low-orbit microgravity environment, while also enabling the development, production, recording, broadcasting, and live streaming of content. They intend to produce its own content, that's SEE, and events in the module, as well as make them available to third parties. So there you go. That's
the question.
More of the story.
Who is actually going to want to risk their lives? Like, how many actors are going to risk their lives?
Are you fucking kidding me?
All of them. Athletes.
All of them. All got egos.
Are you kidding me?
Every launch is dangerous.
Yeah, obviously. But everyone, are you high? If I had money, I'd fucking send me up there. I don't give a shit.
I'll go there. I'll carry their luggage.
You know my fears.
It's like, oh, he died while going to space. What a way to go. How many people say they died going to space?
Half the characters in Armageddon.
Granted, I'd be scared shitless the entire time.
That was a
I'd
movie.
be scared the entire time. But like I would still risk it if I had the money.
Not me. You know, one of my number one fears is dying in space, which now is more practical than it was before because people are actually building.
In your lifetime, you will have the opportunity to die in space. We couldn't say that, when we were born.
Maybe that's the way to beat COVID. Is everyone who you find a group of people who definitely don't have it and send them to space to colonize.
There'll be a fucking space variant of some description. There'll be
it's just get aliens or something like alien instead.
Alien variant thing.
Stuff exploding out of their chests. And this ties.
I hate how they call it chest burster. It's a stomach burster. It comes out of the stomach, not the chest. That's true. That's it.
It doesn't have the same ring to it.
It doesn't. But
stomach
it
bursters.
ring.
Tummy busters.
Oh, gut burster.
Gutbuster.
Ooh, I like
better.
Gutbuster.
There you go, fucking
Especially with
Danny.
your
You solved
intestinal
like
tract.
a 40
Of-
year-old issue.
with the Alien franchise. Yeah, you heard it here first, guys. The next Ridley Scott Alien film, whichever it's going to be called, prosthetic or whatever it's going to be called, will have Gutbusters.
I don't think he's available. He's not doing an X project. It's a FX show. I can't remember who's doing it. Noah Holloway or someone. I don't know, but maybe it's Ridley doing. Anyway, this ties into just a fact, not a actual news story. Well, I found it a fun fact. Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible tenure is currently at 23 years. Well, I guess a lot longer than that now. The same span of time covered in this Bond series by Connery, Lazenby, and more combined. So he's played, and less movies, obviously, because there's a lot bigger. There were some big spaces between some of these movies, especially now with the COVID, just because there was even the time period where they're like, we're not making any more movies with Tom Cruise. That was after 3 and before 4, but well, obviously if it's after, yeah. I just thought that's a fun fact. I've looked at the decades since he started in the 90s. It's like it's 3-decade franchise, 4-decade franchise technically, but it's because
4 decades or soon to be 4 decades.
Because it's like one in the 90s, a few in the 2000s. Like once one hits, it'll be a 4. Yeah. Anyway, I just like that fact. It's cool, and we're not gonna do all the news, by the way, that I've shown you guys. That's a lot. In fact,
yeah, we're already approaching time here. We probably want to move on to our reviews.
The one other thing I want to talk about, and also ties into space, is there were a lot of Star Trek announcements this week. That got me really excited. Discovery is coming back in February after taking a hiatus, and it's been renewed for a 5th season already. They announced when Picard's going to start Thursday, March 3rd, it'll be weekly on Thursdays. There is no production on the 3rd season announced yet, because that's kind of a series that's kind of like it felt like a miniseries in the first place, not like a sweeping, we need to do Picard stories for 5 years like Discovery. And most exciting part for me is Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is you guys are both like on your phones or something.
I was like,
I just need to share because I'm excited. Strange New Worlds is the one I'm most excited for, and it doesn't even have a trailer. It's coming out May 5th. And all these are on Thursdays. And then they've renewed the Lower Decks for summer 2022 with 10 episodes. And season 1 of, basically they're actually keeping up what they promised. And they have a new episode of Star Trek since November and going through at least summer 2022 without missing a single week, because Prodigy has also been going on. And some of these shows overlap. Like the last episode of Picard airs the same day as the first episode of Strange New Worlds. So it's been good eating for Star Trek fans. We disagree a lot less than Star Wars fans.
Question, Nick, about the Picard show. So I got into about 3 episodes of that. Should I continue with that now that they've obviously finished the season 2? Or
Jonesy would say absolutely not. I enjoyed
it. Well, that's why I asked you. I remember his feelings on it, but I haven't heard what you said about it.
I like it. It is different compared to the other ones. I mean, like Discovery, it's the most serialized, even more than Discovery, where it's like, am I using the right words? Yeah, because
really? I didn't get that feeling in the first 3.
Well, there's a through line. Yeah, I think Discovery is very serialized too. Not episodic. But this is incredibly so. It's like a 10-hour movie about Picard.
Yeah.
Like no break between episodes. Like they're not on a new mission or anything. Literally like cliffhanger, and we pick it up right where we left off like 5 minutes ago. So it's a different style, and it gets weird at the end, but I enjoyed it. It's action packed, which is what turns off a lot of older fans.
Yeah, that because Generations was one of my favorite Star Trek shows. I did really enjoy Deep Space Nine, but Generations is something that I just enjoy. Sorry, Next Gen. Sorry, Next Generation.
I was like, I don't know. Maybe that's why my mom and I liked it, is we have almost no experience with Next Gen. Maybe that's why Jonesy didn't like it as much, because he's comparing it. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing Picard again, seeing 7 of 9 again, and seeing those characters again.
Riker shows up. For a little bit.
Yeah, well, I've heard. Yeah. So,
he cooks pizza for them in his wood fire pizza. I
All right,
just
well,
like
maybe
how
I
like
will check it then.
it's the far future, and Picard's living on a vineyard, and like Riker's like living on just like a farm. It's like
As
you guys
they
are like
would, yeah.
Thanos. You're just gonna retire, go sit in the farm after fighting and
That's the
exploring
way to do
space.
it. That's the way to do it, man. He knows what's
Well,
up.
they didn't die in space. So it
Speaking
can be done,
of
Nick.
farms, we're gonna talk about the
Nailed it.
Book of Boba Fett now. The first 4 episodes,
What?
spoiler filled.
Explain
They have
that.
those
That's
the water farms. That's like
No.
where Luke grew up, and one of the issues in one of the
Moisture farms.
episodes, the moisture farms. Yeah, that's what they were called.
I
They
get
even
it.
showed
But
up
it's
in
not
Rogue
like,
One.
yeah, they show up, but they're not a prominent aspect of it. That's like
That's the
speaking of
best segue I could get. Well, and
like,
also space.
speaking of a drink, you know, they have drinks in the cantina. Star Wars. It's like basically what you said just then. And speaking of drinks, I just realized you're taking a drink and you're not
Well-
fulfilling your hosting duties.
So I almost say forget non-spoilers. Let's just talk about. We're talking about. So the reason we're talking about this again, and we're talking about after this, we'll talk about Peacemaker again, and Danny can jump off if he doesn't want spoilers, yada yada, because he doesn't
No,
get it.
I've
where he
Danny-
seen
lives.
the
Danny-
4 episodes,
he's-
dude.
He's
I'm up.
yeah. Did you not pay attention to the Slack channel, bro?
I thought he didn't see 4 episodes.
No,
No,
I
he watched
have
them
seen
all.
them now.
Nice. Well, let's start with Boba Fett because I'm more excited for. And by the way, I have heard him called Boba Fett on other.
That doesn't
show-
make it right. That does
And
not
they're
make
actually
it right.
all Europeans, British people who say that. The British
Boba
people who
Fett.
at Easter eggs I watch say Boba Fett.
Their Western
Anyway.
sensibilities of not pronouncing O's with an O.
Boba. That makes it sound like a drink. Boba Fett.
It is a drink.
drink.
That's why. Yeah.
So let's just jump into spoilers. We're halfway through both of these series. We'll start with Boba Fett.
I am not a bounty hunter. I've heard otherwise. I know that you sit on the throne of your former employer. Jabba ruled with fear. I intend to rule with respect.
It's a little
So
bit more
if you
than
have-
halfway with Boba Fett. Boba Fett is 7 episodes, I believe.
Oh, it's only 7?
So- yeah, so we have 3 episodes left. By the
There's
way,
3
I have to
episodes
say
left.
this. Oh wait, no, I'll wait until we get to.
And it
Peacemaker, sorry.
feels like we've definitely hit the midpoint in a way where I don't know if we'll get any more flashbacks at this point. It
yeah,
seems like
it does.
we've gone
it seems
all
like
the
we
way
came over
through
that
it.
hump. Yeah,
And the one,
and they
okay,
even hinted at the Mandalorian potentially showing
Mhm.
up, right?
I
So
didn't
that
catch
really
it when
kinda
I was watching it.
shows the past and the present colliding together.
Yeah. So I guess he also spent he spent like 5 years with the Sand People or the Tusken Raiders.
Yeah,
or whatever you
actually,
wanna call them.
that was the first thing I had because he mentioned all those years ago, and I was like, "You didn't fall into the Sarlacc. It's like you've been gone maybe several months, if that, because it didn't seem like he was there for that long." But yeah, apparently he was with the Sand People for 5 years,
Training.
and we know that
Yeah.
because the Mandalorian took place about 5 years after, and then it's intersecting with the
and we caught up.
Mandalorian.
Yeah,
so,
we caught up with Fennec or whatever her name is, being saved by him with the same plant we saw the episode before with robotic cyborg parts, which of course was originally established by Darth Vader. But excuse me. What do you guys think about the show midway through?
Who wants to go first?
You go
Danny.
first, Jammer. Oh no, you
Oh,
Me go
Jammer.
first. Okay, who's going? All right, I'm not gonna say anything.
Who's on first?
I got it. This show for me right now is a roller coaster. There's every episode is either taking me up or down, and in each episode there's mini ups and downs. It really is taking me on a ride so far. There's so many elements that I'm really enjoying, but then there's so many elements that I'm face palming a little bit, thinking, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing now? I don't get this bit. That was awful," or in my opinion, that looked awful, or whatever. But overall, I'm really enjoying it because of that. It's like I just don't know what I'm going to get every episode. I don't know if I'm going to love it or hate it. I have no idea only after this last episode did we have a sense of where potentially the story is going. But I still don't think we know completely. Are the Hutts going to come back and try and? Are we spoilering stuff? Did we say
Yeah, we're
yes,
doing spoilers.
Yeah.
Are the twins going to come back? Were they bullshitting about leaving things open? Is Danny Trejo's
gonna train the Rancor to eat him?
a fucking plant? Yeah, it's just I'm enjoying it because of that. But there are elements that I'm getting I don't think are as good as others. Don't get me wrong, it's not taking me out. I'm not fucking complaining about it. I'm not on Twitter blowing a gasket about it, but there's just elements I really like, and then there's elements I don't care for at all. And it's just a wonderful roller coaster because of that. So I'm want to know what the next episode is going to bring, and whether it's going to be an up for me or a down for me. I just don't know. But this last episode, it seems to me like I'm in the minority as usual, because it's been possibly my least favorite episode, whereas other people have been saying it's the best one ever. Fucking hell, this is what Star Wars Boba Fett's all about. And I'm like, what? I don't, why? So yeah, least
You're not Kyle Maloning it though.
Last one. Sorry, Jam.
You're not Kyle Maloning it though. For those who don't know, Kyle Malone, the host of Cup of Genre and Animeverse, was just like, oh, this is kicking me out. Get the Earth shit out of my space. Why would you have
that even mean?
Why would you have switches on a train when clearly it needs to be buttons instead of switches? I'm like, okay.
I didn't even understand what that complaint meant.
I think it's talking about how you would not have
train and the mouse living there.
It's less sci-fi than it used to be.
Do we know it's a mouse? I mean, it could have opened its mouth and it could have had like a giant fucking laser beak come out of its mouth. It just looked like a mouse on the outside, right? But dare I say, there are humans there as well, right? Humans that we only associate with Earth. So are we saying now that we can't have humans because they're too much like Earth, and therefore they'd all be?
That's what he's saying.
That's silly. Yeah, that's
Han Solo is bullshit, even when it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
but anyway, loving the show. Fourth episode's not my favorite. It is, but the downside of not taking me out of it, I'm enjoying it overall. But yeah, that's me on Boba Fett.
Now, I read somewhere that it's someone's favorite Star Wars since The Last Jedi, and this person loves The Last Jedi.
To be fair, I didn't say it was as good as The Last Jedi.
No, you said best Star Wars since.
Yes, I'm just clarifying. So just because it's still nowhere near The Last Jedi of greatness, but it's better than everything else that I've seen since The Last Jedi.
So you feel like it's better than Mandalorian?
Oh yeah,
basically what's that saying? Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian, and
it's better than Rise of Skywalker and Mandalorian, and yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
Solo, a Star Wars story as well.
Well, Solo. Oh, you're right. That was after. Yeah, that was like 3 months after. Shit.
Oh yeah, that was really close, wasn't it? That was weird. That was a weird time to be a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, it was a dumb decision. I think I heard it even more, but that's a different discussion.
But yeah, it was. I really like it. So I think first of all, the overall narrative backbone of the story I think is interesting, because I know my big concern going into it was, how are you going to tell a Boba Fett story and make it different from The Mandalorian? Because The Mandalorian, let's face it, is the show that we thought Boba Fett would have been if it was Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. And I like that they are making this about essentially a gangster's rise to power, and not only a gangster's rise to power, but his desire to sort of rule with respect in a world that doesn't honor respect. And I just think it was cool, first of all, that was what he was trying to do. But then as the flashbacks happen, it really shows where that came from, because he wasn't necessarily that person before, but then he fucking was in like the Sarlacc pit. And then it was through his relationship with the Sand People that he grew to appreciate not only that respect, but he got to understand just how terrible things were and how awful these lords made life there on the planet. So not only is he trying to, take power because of that growth, but he's just really trying to, it's like comes from almost an altruistic place that previously didn't exist before inside of him. And I just love that growth in him. And I just love also, this gives potential to have multiple seasons of him slowly rising to power and like basically almost Ted Lassoing it in a way, where it's just like he's getting people on board with him through respect and like growing his power and just increasing the overall the what's it called, the quality of life in Mos Espa and maybe even other areas in Tatooine. So that would be really cool just to see just how he improves the lives. And as you mentioned, the Wookiee thing, where he is consistently at this point in 3 different occasions taken potential enemies and employed them under him. It's about taking these people who could be enemies and bringing them and making them allies and bringing them on your side. And I just think that's so nice. As someone who has hated watching COVID bring out the worst in everybody, I like having stories where you have it about bringing the best out of people, even in times of difficulty. So I just like that core aspect so much that even though the actual episodes aren't perfect. The pacing is a bit slow. There's some cheesy elements here and there. There's some sort of filmmaking little, I could have done better, but it all is in service of that greater narrative arc to the point where I'm like, it's still moving things forward and I'm still overall liking where it's going. So I'm finding myself to be a big fan, and I find it more rewarding to watch than The Mandalorian, which many times felt too one-off for me to get fully invested. He was not just episodic, but he was also, for the most part, kind of a very blank character.
Yeah.
He was almost like a video game character. He's like an insert character almost up until maybe the very end. Like he had some moments, but overall, there wasn't a lot there. And I think Boba Fett has more personality, for better or worse, because people are like, oh, he's no longer cool. Well, he was never cool.
Which is ironic that he has more personality, because Mandalorian is, I think, is so stoic because he's based off the original Fett to a extreme extent. Now Boba Fett's like, I don't bounty hunter anymore. I don't wear my mask anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a nice guy.
I'm a big fan. I look forward to the show every week. Like I knew I was I knew I was in when episode 4 came out earlier this week. And I was just like setting up my rowing machine and moving my TV, and I was doing the freaking dome, that freaking whatever the theme is. I was like humming that, getting ready to watch it. I was super stoked. So I'm on board.
I enjoy it. I don't enjoy the discourse anywhere except for our podcasts. Like I made the mistake of just saying one thing.
I'm surprised.
I mean, like that's the thing. I don't care enough to have discourse about it, other than like I enjoy it. And even then, it's like. Even Mandalorian was this way. Where like I wake up on a Wednesday during Marvel shows, and I'm like, oh, that's the first thing. I'm not even showering until I watch this. Usually, that's like I'll go for hours after waking up without watching. And sometimes I forget it's even out until I look on Twitter and someone's spoiling it, and then I'm like, oh, I should go watch this so I can discuss it on the podcast. And because I don't know, Star Wars is harmless. Give me any live action Star Wars, even if it's complete shit, I'd probably watch an entire season of complete shit as long as it's live action Star Wars. Lord knows I've watched complete shit movies more than once. Not Rise of Skywalker.
Haven't we all?
It's the only movie I've seen. Yeah.
I mean, I have not watched Rogue One, Solo, or The Rise of Skywalker more than once.
I haven't. Well, I've watched all of it more. Actually, I'm just saying the worst ones I still think are the prequels, which because they've been out so long, I've seen many times. Oh yeah,
they're terrible. I hate them.
But like I'd say they're even worse than Solo, but a lot of people, were like, bring back George Lucas. And it's like,
I agree with you. They are worse than Solo.
But yeah, I don't know. So I'm like I've said before, Marvel's kind of become my thing over Star Wars, and then Star Trek became far more interesting to me.
Why you constantly gotta?
No, I'm just saying, but I'm just not.
Why can't you like them all separately from each other
as you guys are?
I don't understand this.
Well, I'm spending time with. Like I'm more invested in characters in other franchises than Star Wars characters. But it's fine. I watch it. I don't care about things like bright speeder bikes. I think it's fun to kind of have a little kind of or the cyberpunk things they've been doing. Which I
understand why people have a problem with that, but it doesn't bother me personally. Yeah.
Well, and especially since I think what I tweeted, which got Kyle on my tail, and then I'm like, I just said I wasn't going to tweet about Star Wars. I'm definitely not going to tweet about Star Wars again. I said like those would have looked perfectly normal on Coruscant in episode 2, the cyberpunk slash. Look, I think it's just that it's on
that gang that apparently couldn't afford to eat or drink or anything and was stealing water to survive, but they've got these immaculate, perfect looking fucking speeder bikes that didn't fit with their environment or their parent characters.
I disagree with that, because I mean isn't that just freaking underground car racing culture in general, where it's like they don't have a lot of money? It's like Fast and the Furious. Fast and Furious. Are you judging Fast and the Furious?
Yeah, and that was.
No, I was just comparing it in a good way. And I never even seen the first Fast and the Furious film.
No, Danny, you're right. It really doesn't make much sense. I guess they have mixed priorities.
I just like why Boba Fett? I think it stands out more just because we're on Tatooine, which it's not there. It's always shot really bland because that's what Tatooine is. It's not like it's a colorful place like Coruscant, or even most of the colorful plants are the ones that have nothing to do with are mostly cities or something. But then we're very used to the architecture of Tatooine and the sandiness, just everything's white / sand colored. But I did find it slightly annoying that I've always assumed, I started assuming this during the show, that the reason Jabba's door is so big is that's the hangar. Like, why else have a door that like, big? But as we learned in the last episode, the hangar is on a completely different part of the building. And it has a door that goes down. I just thought about watching Boba Fett when they're walking through the doors and then like it's so big. It's like this must have used to be a hangar or something for ships. But all you see in there are like the pigs and stuff. At least in Return of the Jedi. We saw
that in Return of the Jedi. I was like, yeah, we saw that, and it was never implied that it was a hangar on the other side.
No, but I not ever thought of it watching Return of the Jedi. But seeing that location way more, I'm like, it had to have been a hangar at some point. Why else have a space that big besides just being dramatic?
Let me just say, you're giving too much history to this building that I'm sure was not given that much thought to when it was built back in 19.
Oh no, originally there was no history to it. Like I said, originally it was to serve the plot and look cool. It was because it was like super easy, barely an inconvenience. Like they have big doors because they're impressive.
Yeah.
And I also was, after we didn't see him do it to anyone else, I was so glad that a Wookiee ripped someone's arm off.
Yeah, that was fun.
I'm like, how's it happened yet? How's it not happened yet?
And that was unexpected as well. I was not expecting that. I mean, you could have gone either way, could have thrown him across the room, but the actual ripping of an arm, that was,
he hadn't done that yet. He was throwing people around before that, or like trying to crush Boba Fett, not like rip his arm off. But I do also, it probably would have been too much fan service, but I really wanted to hear Boba Fett say, "That's why you always let the Wookiee win," or something. And it would mirror his enemy.
I would have hated it. I would have hated every
I know.
second of that
I was
line.
thinking about it, I'm like, I'd enjoy it, but I'd hate it.
That's like the equivalent of like, what's his name? Kevin Smith putting, "I'm not supposed to be here today" in every freaking scene with Dante and Randall in it in all of his movies. Like,
this would be worse though, because it's a different character who's saying it. He's never heard Han Solo say it. It's like in The Dark Knight, two different characters say batten down the hatches. No, close to the vest. You really play this close to the vest. And there are two characters who have never said that in the same room. And it's like, they should have cut one of them. It just bothers me in a weird way that two different characters, I mean, it's kind of common line. Like it applies in both situations, but it's like, it would have been better if like Gordon heard Harvey said it and then Gordon said it. Instead, it was two different characters who didn't say it in front of each other. And you're like, you're putting the same line in twice. Yeah, but what you see is what you see. Obviously, we don't see everything, but
what you want is what you get at McDonald's today. Do you remember that ad?
No, don't remember that Pacific one. Specific. But no, I would say I like The Mandalorian better, but this is fine. And I'm excited for the prospect of us seeing, I'm just going to call him Mando. I can never remember. Din Djarin or something.
Oh, Din Djarin, I think.
Yeah. Star Wars names are difficult when they're not from 40 years ago, because even though those ones are difficult, I've grown up with those names my entire life. And I continue to love, because one of his my favorite actors, even though he doesn't get to be funny in this, Matt Berry as their droid, who is like the ones like, you should kill them, Master Fett.
Yeah.
Is that who that is?
Yeah, it's Matt Berry.
I didn't know that.
Plays in Toast of London. He plays a voiceover actor, and he also has Advil commercials locally. So every time I hear his voice but don't see him, I can picture his character Toast just doing voiceover in character. But yeah, any other comments on Book of Boba?
I really like it. I hope it has a good ending, and I hope to see another season, because it seems like a show that lends itself to multiple seasons, and I hope people can enjoy it and get the sticks out of their asses. Obviously, if you don't like it, you don't like it. But don't like it for stupid reasons. Like,
don't dislike it for stupid reasons.
Yeah, just have good reasons for not liking it. Come on.
I actually am a little worried going forward, just because so far I have found the flashbacks more fascinating than the modern day stuff. But
I personally, like, whenever it switches from one to the other, I'm always like, I wanted more of the other one. But then it gets me. It's like starting a new chapter of a book when they switch character perspectives. Like, I was invested in that storyline, but now I'm back in this storyline. And by the time you get to the end of that chapter, it's like, oh, fuck. Now I'm going back to the other one. I was invested in the other one. So I'm usually most interested in which perspective we are currently in that moment, which is good. It's not a bad thing.
Just question on that, buddy. So you know why they do that in books sometimes, right? As in they flip from one to the other.
I mean, it varies for reasons. It depends. It could be for pacing issues.
Yeah, exactly. So my question was, as a work question, is when you're writing yours, do you write like that? will you stick with the main character till its natural conclusion and then go to another one, or will you do something similar to the thing that you've just said that sometimes you don't like, because for a good thing, because you like that but you wanted it to carry on? But are you aware of that when you're doing your writing?
Yeah, I can't say I've honestly done that recently, because none of the stories I've done lend themselves to separate storylines. Usually there are like different perspectives contributing to the same storyline, but I have in the past written storylines that are like that. And the reason why I do separate them has to do one of two reasons. A, having to do with chronological order of like wanting to make sure that like they're relatively in chronological order, even if they're like at different parts of the world, or B, for pacing issues, so that you're keeping the momentum going and it's not like rise and climax and then fall and then do that again with like another set of characters. It's about keeping the structure relatively cohesive and consistent between the narratives.
Speaking of cohesive narratives, you guys ready to move on to Peacemaker?
Your transitions need work, but yes.
I've got a few good ones today.
That's fair.
Almost had peeing my pants. We went from long movies, me almost peeing my pants in a Lord of the Rings movie to a Lord of the Rings announcement. That's pretty good. I had to tell the pee my pants story, but I didn't actually pee my pants. I already said that, but I just want to be clear. Peacemaker, what do you guys... I'll actually go first, not all the way with my first comment. It's even better than I thought it would be. And I think it's way better. I love the Suicide Squad. I'm not putting down the Suicide Squad when I say this, but it's the best DC thing I've seen since the Suicide Squad. Which is the last thing, I believe.
Last thing that's existed from
I was just trying to use your Star Wars thing, but it is the last thing I think that was released by DC.
Have you ever heard of a guy named Peacemaker?
No.
He is a trained killer. We've got trouble with that maniac.
Go! What are you waiting for?
That thing better not crap back there.
Can't house train an eagle, dude. Not without stealing its soul.
Hey, Dad. It's been kind of a rough go for me lately, Dad.
You don't say.
Somebody shot me and the building fell on me.
You let somebody shoot you?
It's not like I invited him to come shoot me, Dad.
Pathetic.
I thought you were in prison for life.
I work for the government.
Post office?
You think they'd let me out of prison to deliver mail?
I don't know. It's the first government job I could think of.
I kill people for it, okay?
This task force doesn't officially exist, which leaves us on our own.
We call our targets butterflies. They are a serious threat to the safety of American citizens.
There's something weird going on. You think me and Vigilante are too stupid to notice?
Hey, everyone! Which one's me and which one's Eagly?
Okay, you're half right, but you score 50% on the test at school. What do you get? A D.
It's so good, man. It's from the opening dance number. You're like, I get it. And it's as more fucks than a Kevin Smith show.
I don't agree
movie.
with that.
At least the first episode, they really say fuck a lot.
I don't think so. In
fact, Kevin Smith did a quick interview with James Gunn this week, like a 20-minute, even 15-minute interview. No, I think it was 15, because he spends the first 5 minutes, the 20-minute video, just talking about the show. And he was like, first of all, what his praise is one of my biggest praises. You almost expect. I mean, James Gunn does do character development even in 2 hours. But there's a lot more to Peacemaker than I thought there was before, like especially with the guilt over Rick Flag. That just seems to I think is real excuse for not killing. I still think he would have killed those kids if it weren't before the Rick Flag situation made him reconsider everything.
Because they're the first. By the way, spoiler alert: if you haven't watched Peacemaker, episodes 1 through 4,
spoilers. Whoops,
full spoilers. I agree with you. Like, I think those are the first people he's killed since going. Like, he didn't kill anyone up until that point, right?
No.
Okay. Wow. The show
I should have killed his racist dad, but
well, that's surprising because as you mentioned, it's really fucking good. There's like a lot of layers to each of the characters there, and this show, it's very much like on a TV budget. It's high budget when it needs to be, but it's very much just like a lot of talking, but it's done so fucking well. And it's just, I don't know, like it's hard for me to explain why, because I was watching it yesterday. Like I had 2 episodes to watch last night, and you know me, I go to bed fucking early, and it was like 8:45, and I was just like, should I, or should I just not watch? And we're just like, we're watching it. And here's the thing also, like, it's just something about it keeps you going to it, even though there's not a lot of action. Things are constantly moving forward, and you're learning more about the characters, and their motivations are really sort of either bolstering or going against each other in a way, even if there's not really a physical clash between them. And they somehow make like the most awful people really endearing. Like, obviously, when Vigilante first came into it, I was just like, this guy, I'm not going to give a fuck about this guy.
Graffiti. He's like the scene where they're smoking weed and he's in the bed with them. He's
No,
like, if that wasn't legal, I would have shot you both.
he's literally a school shooter incarnate. That's like what he is. And by the end of like the last episode, I was like, I hope he doesn't die. I really like him. Like, I really like him. He's
my
really
roommate
funny. By the way,
decided he was our favorite character.
He's great.
Vigilante's my favorite character.
Yeah, he's did you know he's Cormac McLagan in the Harry Potter movies? I'm not sure if you guys remember who that is.
I don't remember.
But that's in the 6th movie.
Student their age or something?
Yeah.
Because he's not that old of an actor. He's probably Daniel Radcliffe's age.
Well, yeah, he was like a year older, I think, or around the same age. But he was, if you recall, in the 6th movie, that really douchey pretty boy guy who like was competing for Hermione against Ron. Oh, well, that's unhelpful. Have you seen it, Danny?
I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm trying to picture him. I have seen the films multiple times.
So that means...
Hold on.
Saying about Hermione reminds me a bit more about the character you mean now. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like,
but she was like fobbing him off. She didn't even kind of notice. She was oblivious to his advances. I seem to remember.
No, she knew. She was actually going out with him to make Ron jealous.
Oh yes, now I remember. Is that him? Holy shit!
That's him, right?
Yeah. Oh wow!
Even when I see side by side pictures, I'm like, he doesn't look at all the same, and he has such a good American accent.
That's what I was going to bring up. Accents. There's definitely because I think only Brits were allowed in those movies. That was J.K. Rowling's like thing, and then they cast Johnny Depp and fucking Grindelwald.
But that's that takes place in New York, partially, or at least somewhat.
The second one takes place in Paris, which is when you get most of Johnny Depp.
Okay, but that's different. Okay,
I didn't know he was British at all. He's like a Tom Holland. He has a really perfect, just like almost nerdy, because he's literally he literally sounds like Deadpool to me. And when you put on the mask, you have to emote more, so he looks like Deadpool when he's like doing bigger arm movements.
Really cool. Yeah,
there's someone else, a mix of. He reminded Kirsten of Deadpool, and he reminded me of someone else. Who the fuck was it?
He reminded me of two people too. I can't remember who the other one was.
Kick-Ass?
No, I need to remember who the hell was it.
Yeah, costumes
you
are
keep
very
talking.
kick-ass.
I'm gonna ask Kirsten. I'll be right back. I'm curious if she remembers what I said.
So Danny, what are your highlights? Like, do you have anything you don't like about it at this point?
Not at the moment. No, I'm really enjoying the show. I love the adult humor side of it. I think to Jammer's point about it being, even though there's not any action per se going on, when there's no gunplay or fisticuffs, but I think when Jammer was talking, I was thinking there's not a lot of wasted screen time. Every scene has some sort of value or purpose to it. So even when there's, like you say, there's no action, there's still something of value there. So you can have a good 5-10 minutes of no guns being shot or anything, but it still feels like it's moving along. Still feels like every scene has worthwhile. It's like when you read a really well done comic and there's no wasted panels. Everything makes a lot of sense. They're just not wasting airtime. So they're squeezing a lot of stuff in, which allows character development, the action stuff. And one of the things I think is really helping is everyone's comic timing seems to be really fucking good. Everyone's right on the ball with when they're delivering their lines and how they're delivering their lines. So even the comedic moments are just stand out. And John Cena, I think, is as much as Vigilante is my favorite character, I think his performance as Peacemaker is brilliant, and I'm really enjoying watching him on screen. Quick question though: who has he killed? Who has he killed in the show?
Peacemaker?
Oh, no, he killed that crazy girl who attacked him.
Oh yeah, he did blow her up.
No,
remember, he had just put on the right helmet.
Oh yes, he did. So you put on the Sonic Boom helmet, the Sonic Wave.
I'm so glad he grabbed the other helmets.
But that was self-defense. That was different than like
but that's what I was thinking, because Vigilante had to take the shots for the kids and the wife, and so I actually was thinking he hasn't killed anybody, but you're absolutely right. He used the Sonic,
and he didn't know it would do that much damage either. He was just trying to protect himself. He was like, "Holy fuck!" And before Jammer goes back to Vigilante, I just want to go back to your point about no wasted time. The 4th episode feels a lot like the 5th episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where there's like a little bit of fighting, but it's not as epic as the past few episodes. It's mostly learning about all the characters, especially going a little bit into Peacemaker's history. Like that's the stuff I look forward to seeing the most, is learning about his history.
It was my favorite bit with
White Dragon
when he was in the prison. That bit was like, why is Vigilante so fucking tough? And it's like, when he's got his mind on the game, he's a better at the moment. He's looking like a much better fisticuff fighter than Peacemaker is.
At first, I assumed he was just a shooter,
pretty much for everybody. But he came in with those white supremacists. I don't know, they're not trained villains like the kung fu guy or whatever they call him, but the way he dealt with those villains, those white supremacists, was so laid back and so cool. And his commentary on them, you know, what have the black people of America ever
rock
given
and
us?
roll.
That whole thing,
you wouldn't have Leonard Skinner.
So clever. So clever. But it goes back to that comic timing. They're just so spot on, all of them. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So Jammer, did Kristen help us out?
Yeah, she did. He reminded me of Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Oh,
so
not who I was thinking of, but that's good.
That's who it was. It's funny, she just texted it to me. I guess she heard me through the wall. And just texted it to me. But yeah, so
and now you know she can hear you through the wall and has been able to for months and months and months.
Oh yeah, I've known
everything
that.
You've ever said.
Yeah, I've known that. But anyway, so Vigilante has just overall impressed me, just because it's really funny, but also even though he's crazy, they managed to endear him with like his morals, like just how anti-racist he is. Overtly anti-racist is like really admirable, and just like it's really funny as well. But then also that sort of the moment where Peacemaker couldn't take the shot, there wasn't any judgment. He just like, hey man, take a step back, I got this, and then he just took care of it.
Put his hand on his shoulder. I got this.
It was great. Like I'm like, oh, he's a really great friend. It's kind of sad and weird in a demented way, and he was even humming as he was taking them out. But still, like there was something endearing about it, and
moments like that.
He balances like that of being able to take horrible human beings and then find those endearing qualities that still don't take away from them being bad or anti-heroes or even villains, but endear you to them. And he's really good at that, because they're all like that. Pretty much all the characters are like that, except for Amanda Waller's daughter, who's like,
I think there's more
the
there,
closest thing.
I can't tell when she's playing
people
at
this point,
or how, like, because it sounded like her speech to Peacemaker about, you know, parents like expecting more from their kids and training them to do shit they didn't want. I'm like, oh, she's talking about herself too. She's talking about her relationship with her mom.
Like Vigilante very easily. The way she manipulated Vigilante into taking out his dad, that was very, very, very quick, very clever, very cold.
It's very Amanda Waller. But then again, like the shot after that, she's like admitting it, like she feels bad, not like my bad, you guys, not like an accident, like change the license plate for the dad, not a random person where she's like, I kind of convinced Vigilante to go into prison and kill the dad.
I appreciate that, like, the show has the characters do stupid things, but then like later on it's like, why did you do that? Like, why did you frame his dad again? Or why did you think it wouldn't look bad that you tricked his best friend into killing his dad?
Yeah.
And it's just like, what's wrong with you? Like,
doesn't he come into the room and go, "What? Can I just come away? Can I go away for 5 minutes without someone doing something fucking stupid?" Even that character recognizes that for every 10 minutes, someone's doing something dumb somewhere, and he can't control it. And then
my roommate couldn't control ourselves with laughter when he was just walked over to all the guards and like is doing the trash can thing, and we're like, "What the fuck is he?" Because we thought when we originally heard her convince him, I figured he'd get in with the suit and like break into prison and like kill him or something, not just get thrown in prison. So we're like, what the fuck is he doing? And then my roommate was like, there's a lot of easier ways to get arrested. Drag a heavy trash can.
Easy. That was pretty easy. Yeah. I mean, I guess
punched one of the cops. He could have just punched one of them while they were eating.
Well, he didn't want to. He probably didn't want to hurt them.
Worse then.
He didn't want to hurt them. He probably, because they didn't do anything wrong.
Oh, they're also like on his side, like they're men of the law.
Yeah, basically he caused criminal damage. That's all he did, was criminal damage. He didn't do anything, but it would have been assault if he'd punched one of the police officers or prison guards, and then that would have been worse for him. I think even he was thinking, I just want to get in the jail, don't want to spend more than 24 hours there, misdemeanor, get out again. I don't think he wanted to go.
You don't want to hurt anybody that doesn't deserve it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Point. That scene is so funny though. And then we know that Merc is a butterfly.
Yeah.
How many episodes have we got?
That was disappointing.
4 more. It's an 8-episode series. So again, we're halfway
Did we tell
through
you?
it.
Did we tell you about Jonesy? We talked about this a bit last week because he wanted to talk about.
Oh, you thought it was over in 3 episodes, yeah.
And he's just like, yeah. He's like, it's just a movie. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, it's just a movie. I'm like, you know that the show's not just 3 episodes, right? He's like, what? There's more? I'm like, it's an 8-episode show. What are you talking about?
And the funny thing is, Jammer, at that point, I hadn't seen the show, but now after I watched 3 episodes, I'm like, how did you think this was the end? What? There was a whole conspiracy about butterflies across the world.
I guess they were just the politicians. That's
as
far as it went.
He thought when the butterfly flew away, and then he cut to black. That's what he thought was the end of the show. That was the end of the show.
I love John Cena getting the butterfly high.
Yeah,
and I also really loved shit, I'm spacing on it. I'll think while you guys talk if you have a bit more. Oh yeah, the gorilla. What do we think about the gorilla? The Chekhov's gun.
At some point. The
The
gorilla
what?
that escaped from the zoo. It was on the news.
They made a big deal about a gorilla missing.
Right.
Is it a fake out, a reference to Gorilla Grodd, who's in this universe, or more likely, are we going to see a butterfly-infected gorilla who will just kind of be used as like a tank against, like, you know, just beat the shit out of vigilante?
I mean, I think we have to see. Maybe it's both, or maybe that is Grodd. Probably not,
because
but
there
maybe
is
it
so much. No, maybe Grodd kidnapped him. I'm almost thinking, but I mean, because I absolutely love every superhero reference in this. Where he read online, he like read on Reddit, the Aquaman fucks fish, or on a website. That's how he knows. And
you didn't see the bit on Slack then, Nick. One of my favorite scenes, I even recorded it, was when Peacemaker's going off about Batman.
Yes, and the old guy.
That's
like,
been an issue with me and Batman for years. It's like, you dumb fuck. This guy, I know you don't kill, I know, but this guy really does deserve to be put down now. You should.
Yeah,
it's like that Joker fall off the cliff kind of thing. Don't save him.
That conversation between Punisher and Daredevil and season 2 of Daredevil.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's interesting because in the comics he does struggle with that. Obviously, he never kills, but there's like in one of the main comics, I think he's even the Dark Knight Returns. He's like, I know the exact amount of people that Joker has killed, and they're all on my conscience. So
the next question to me is, what universe does this take place in? Because Batman does kill in Batman v Superman.
I don't know. When Kevin Smith was talking about it, and James Gunn actually agreed with him, and Kevin Smith was like, "This is so rooted in the DCU," and then James Gunn was like, "Yeah, it's intent. Like, we don't know where we're headed next." So
Batman doesn't kill villains; he just kills their henchmen. So maybe that's the difference.
Maybe, and the Joker's still alive, as we know. So,
yep.
You know, I tap out when it comes to multiverses and things. You know,
yeah. Flashpoint was gonna do whatever it's gonna do. We'll just call it the Flash, but really, it's in the Batverse or Batman No Way Home. We're just gonna have a bunch of Batman on screen together.
Batman No Way Home.
I love it.
Anything else to say, gents, before we wrap her up?
No, I mean, this is good. I thought it'd be good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So as I say, we love Boba Fett and we love the Peacemaker. We've got DC and Star Wars. We love the Moon Knight trailer. We're covering Geekdom with Star Wars. Nick loves Star Trek.
Yeah,
we like things here. But I mean, I think for me, as much as I really like Book of Boba Fett, I think Peacemaker is like on another level for me.
Same.
And it's just, for me, it's one of the biggest surprises in TV that I've had since
Harley Quinn. I
guess Arcane.
Okay. I was gonna say, just to surprise me in a mature way, like the Harley Quinn show. I was like, I'm not really interested in that. And everyone's like, watch it. And I'm like, holy fuck. That's almost Peacemaker level show.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I can't wait for season 3. I think it's this year.
Me too.
God bless dirty comedy at DC. filthy comedy and violence at DC. All right.
Jammer, well, that's all I have.
Yeah, that's all I got. Jonesy,
I got nothing.
Are you fulfilled?
Jonesy, did you just call me Jonesy?
Jammer. Oh God, no, Danny. J's and D's.
I know I've got a tan, but come on.
Jammer, can you bring us out? Because I don't remember all the information Jonesy says.
Thank you all so much for listening to this episode of Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. Be sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, on all the podcasts wherever you find podcasts, you can find us there, and give us a rating. Give us the comments, tell us why you love us, give us a 5-star, because that always helps us out a little bit. Also check out the YouTube channel at Genreverse Podcast Network, where you can find our episodes uploaded every week if YouTube's more your thing. Sadly, it's not a video podcast yet, but maybe that's down the line. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Who knows? You never know. In the Genreverse, anything could happen. But of course, check out lrmonline.com for all the latest film, TV, and geek-related news. Nick, where can people find you?
I'm at Geeky Nick Dahl on Twitter. And I also do Marvel Multiverse Mayhem. I'm recording that in about an hour and 10 minutes from now. And we are going, since we're out of fresh Marvel content, we did Daredevil last time, and old Daredevil, and we're doing Deadpool this week. So if you want to hear us talk about the original Deadpool movie, check it out. It's out on Saturdays these days.
Danny, where can people find you?
People can find me fast asleep in bed because it's nearly 1 o'clock in the morning here, so good night.
You can find me on Twitter at Jam the Writer, and all of my books under the name AJ Cerna on Amazon and Audible and Royal Road. So check out The City of Mages, which I am currently serializing 5 days a week on royalroad.com. Thank you so much, gents, for joining me on this episode. This concludes this edition of Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast. Hasta lasagna.
Dunkiniania.
Mission fucked up.
In 2023 and 2024.